But there's so much we can do and so much that I would like to talk about that time would not allow us, even in a whole service dedicated just today. But one of the things that I want to introduce is something that we've just started that's new, and it's for our younger kids. So this program is designed for pre-K all the way through 12th grade. So we have different sections of these lessons that are geared towards certain class groups. So our CHIP series, which is our youngest group, and they're fashioned after a character named Chip. Chip Tater's his name, because everything with our young kids are taters, okay? I said earlier this morning, they call us the Tater Guys. And the reason they do that is because we have tater lessons, okay? Even in our middle and high school, we have one particular lesson. It's called taters. And we teach the kids on what type of tater are you. Are you a hesitator? Are you an agitator? Are you an irritator? Are you a meditator? Are you an imitator? And we go through all the different taters and try to figure out what type of tater are you. I always tell them I'm a meditator and an agitator. And sometimes I spend way too much time thinking about what I can do instead of doing it. I have lots of ideas. So sometimes I spend a lot, and I definitely like to be an irritator, an agitator, should I say. I like to aggravate my wife and family. And I always tell the kids this. I'll give you this one little thing. I'll move on because the kids love it. But I used to work the railroad. I worked a lot of overtime. I'd call her and be like, yeah, I'm going to be like an hour late. And she'd be cleaning the house or whatever. I'd be just about home when I would call her and tell her that. And I'd sneak in the back door. The boys were real little at that time. They'd let me in the back door, and I'd sneak in there and find her somewhere working on something, and I would absolutely scare the daylights out of her, okay? And I love doing that. It'd catch her by surprise. And I usually had, some marks on me when I got done because she punched me, pinched me, kicked me, something, okay? She can be violent. She's redheaded, okay? But I love doing that. But anyway, so that's one of our lessons. But our younger grades, when we think about pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade, our CHIP series, and we've got 20 right now. We've got 20 lessons that deal with in our CHIP series, and all different variation. In those lessons, we teach simple things such as Chip learns a special word. What is that word? Well, it's please. You say, well, that's so simple. Well, they don't get that at home. They don't know how to talk. Chip learns a twin word, and that twin word is thank you. Man, we think those things are so simple, but when we're looking at that as a character-building tool in our public schools, that's what we're trying to do. We come into the schools with lessons that's going to help teach character and build character with these kids. Why we think that is important as a ministry is we believe character and Christianity go hand in hand. If we can keep the hearts of these young people tender, very tender toward the things that are around them, especially toward God, they're going to get saved. I'm going to give you this statistic. Right now, I believe it was 85% of salvations are made, or professions of faith are made below the age of 14. Below the age of 14. And we have kids who are growing up in difficult situations. Their hearts are being hardened because just the cares of life is what the Bible tells us, the cares of life. And difficult situation makes these kids very hard. And when those basic things are left out of their life, they have no character. As a matter of fact, they don't even like themselves. We're living in a generation today where kids are on more medication. If you go to public school today, and you can look in a classroom, they're putting kids as young as 2 years old on anxiety medication, okay? My wife spent 3 years at a pediatrics office. We've seen this firsthand. I mean, they're diagnosing kids with everything you can possibly, they're putting medication, and it changes and alters the minds of these kids. So in those small grades, we wanted to introduce these lessons to be able to do step by step. We have one lesson, it's called the tissue box. You can imagine what that's about. Keep your fingers out of your nose. Teach them how to blow their nose. Well, one, teach them how to chew with their mouth closed. You say those are so simple. It is. But that's what we're missing in our schools and in America today. But we started a new initiative. I say a new initiative. We have a new idea that my wife and we got together. I told my wife one day, I said, I want our characters in this age group to come alive. I think if we can get these characters off of this screen and into their hands, I first thought about into the classroom. And I told my wife, I said, what if I did like a big giant cardboard cutout of Chip? She's like, no, you're not carrying a cardboard cutout. So she got to thinking about it, praying about it, and she come up with what we have on our back table, which is our Chip plushies. And our plushies, she said, everybody's crazy about these, some kind of plushie dog. What? Squishmallows. I don't keep up with that anymore. But anyway, so she said, everybody's crazy about these little doll things. She said, we'll make some Chip plushie dolls. So right now what we have done is we have designed, my wife has designed these and had these made. And we have these Chip plushie dolls that are now available, okay? So we have 3 of them. We have 3 of those characters, which is Chip is the main character. We have Tommy All Rotten. And then we have Tater Tot, which Tater Tot is Chip's little brother, by the way. But so Tot Tater, Chip Tater, and Tommy All Rotten, all of these characters have names, okay? But we have 3 of those that are already made in process. They're done. We have 1,000 of each of these dolls. And then the other 7, we're still raising the funds to be able to get those made. We've got the prototypes on the table. You'll see those back there. And we want to try to get those completely done. And the reason is why I want to take just a minute to talk about this, because it's very important to me, especially my wife, and what we're trying to do. On the back of every one of these dolls, there's a QR code. And on that QR code, the kids are able to scan that, and they know how to do it, I promise you. And it'll prompt them to download an app eventually. Right now, it'll just take them directly to the website, which is called the Tater Patch. And the Tater Patch website, it has games, it has puzzles, it has coloring pages, it has all kinds of stuff. But the main thing is we have it divided into 2 sections. We have the game section and all of that. Then we have our Chip series. And our Chip series is an adventure series, just like Saturday morning cartoons, but it's going to be audio. And what we have done, my wife and I are writing these stories, and we've got a friend of ours that does voiceovers, and he is reading these lessons in different voices, and we're putting these on the website. For every Saturday morning, we'll have one drop. The kids will be able to go on there. It'll notify them and say, hey, no stories out, Chip's Adventures. They'll be able to go on there and listen to a story. Chip and his friends will go all over the world on these wonderful adventures. But on top of that, we'll also have Chip's Adventures through the Bible. So we want to do just the character side. Chip will go to New York City. He'll go on safaris. He'll do all kinds of fun, cool stuff. But Chip will also be there in the parting of the Red Sea and, all these monumental things throughout the Bible. But we want to be able to make that available for our kids in our school and then, of course, our kids in our churches as well. And the reason that is so important is because we're taking Chip off the screen, and the kids love Chip. If you ever go to school with us, you'll see Chip is a star with these kids. But we've taken him off the screen, put him in their hands. They're carrying him home. They're able to sit down on Saturday morning with Chip in hand and be able to listen to their favorite story. They'll be able to navigate all of these lessons. And mom and dad, because of their age, the age group, mom and dad's going to be involved in seeing what's going on. So we're getting the gospel into not just the schools, but we're getting it into the homes. So we're bridging that gap. So that's why these are very important. So I ask you to pray about that. Okay, help us pray. Number one, the funds come in for that. But pray about maybe even buying some of these. And the reason we want to sell these to our churches, and they go to a lot of grandkids for grandparents. We've sold a lot of them doing that. The reason we're selling these is because for every one we sell, we're able to give one to a student in school. So we give them away free in the classroom, so they're able to have these. So that's a little bit about our Chip series and then the Chip plushie dolls. Okay, I wanted to do that right off before we got started in the rest of it. Anybody have any questions about that? They're $15 a piece. It's a buy one, give one. So it's not too bad of a price, pretty decent. Yes? Yes, those are our Tater characters in that coloring book as well. So, and we've got new coloring books coming out soon as well too. But we have 3 coloring books. We have Let's learn about missionaries. Let's learn about love. And I always forget forgiveness. The one on forgiveness. Forgiveness was really good. Yes. They don't right now, no. Those will be all new lessons that'll be coming out. So those are the only three I've got right now. Forgiveness is probably one of our most popular. We even bring those into school, prisons in Africa, even the prisoners love them. So, but the content in there and forgiveness is just so good. It's really good. It helps a lot of people. So yes.
So we were a little late this morning to Sunday school, and I don't know if I missed something, but how, like, when y'all get into the school system, are y'all there all day? Is it a extra class, or is it kind of like an after-school assembly? Like, what is?
Okay, so it can be all of the above, all right? So it's very flexible. But what we generally do as a rule of thumb, when we go into a school, personally for me, all of the schools that I do, I'm there all day because I do more than one grade. My elementary school down in Decatur, Georgia, is just right outside of Atlanta there. I'm in 3 classes. So I'm there a total of about 3.5 hours. I go in, I do second grade, I do third grade, and I do fourth grade. That's the classes that I do. You can start with one class. You can do one class. You could do a whole grade level. You can just do, if you have third grade, let's say you've got a elementary school that has 200 kids in it total. And you're just going to do not just one grade level, but you're going to do one class. You can just do that one class. So it's very, very flexible in that sense. What grade and what classes that you do. It's really up to the school. The school knows how much time they have, and that's one thing that we're very, very sensitive to. That's why we recommend when we go in twice a month, no more. And some of my schools, I just go in once a month because of their restrictions in their class time, because we take up class time. And that answers another question. Most of the time what we do is we take up their class time to teach. They have that extra time built into their schedules most of the time. And that's a wonderful thing because it gives the teacher in the classes, it gives them time to be able to do planning, grade work, build another schedule, or just sit back and relax for a minute. I mean, it gives them that opportunity. So, yes. Was that clear? Okay. Sure.
So, to be a part of this, we would just like purchase the curriculum and all the stuff that comes with it, and we would just go to our local school and just like, hey, we want to.
Yes. Yes. So we sell.
Through that scenario, like how do you get?
Sure. So if this church has an interest to work in a public school, first thing we would do is we would train the local church as many people as we possibly could. Even if you're like, I don't know, but I might. But we're gonna have an 8-hour training class. We're gonna come up in class in the church, in a room, in here, and we're gonna walk you through all the law, the legalities, and then we're gonna spend some time. We'll spend 4 hours or 6 hours on the legalities, and we'll spend net 2 to 4 hours on how to use the material. And at that point, we're going to go and talk to a school. We're going to make a phone call, and if we have somebody that's in a school, we have an opportunity to be able to have an inroad to a school. So we're going to try to gain access to that school at that point. We'll have one person in the church that's going to be the lead. They're going to take care of all of the emails, building all the schedules, all of that when it comes to the actual in-working of the program inside the school. So they'll have a church liaison. They'll be the public school coordinator for the church. We'll go through one person. It just makes it a whole lot simpler. Once we do that, I'm going to come with you. And I'm going to do that probably 6 months. Every time you go, I'll be there because I'm going to train you. I'm going to train you inside the school to do what I do. My wife will be there. We'll be inside the school, and if we need more help, I'll call people to come and help us. So it just depends on how big you want to go. But we'll train you. We'll stay with you every time you're there. We'll be there to train you, and eventually we will sign it over to you as a local church because it's a local church ministry. Rock of Ages believes that everything should go through the local church. That's a Bible. I believe that it's biblical. Local church is the head over everything. Everything should go through the local church. So it's a local church ministry. So that'll be able to turn over to the local church, and you'll be able to have it for indefinitely if you want it. Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Is this restricted to only public schools, or could we do private schools? Could we do homeschool groups? Could we do?
Yes. All the above. Alternative schools. Juvenile schools. You know, sometimes it's overlooked is you have juvenile facilities that have schools in there. They still have to go to school just like we do. Matter of fact, they go to school the exact same time. Unless it's if it's a private juvenile facility, it may work just a touch, but they still have school. So that's another avenue. If you wanted to go in a juvenile facility and teach in their schools, you could do the exact same thing there. So yes, any of the above. We use this material in every aspect you could possibly think of. I do VBSs every year with this program. I do our home. I teach Sunday school. I fill in for our adult classes, teen. I filter through every class with these lessons in our church. My pastors, our Sunday school director, he's like, hey, put him on a rotation. I want him in twice a month. So I go twice a month. I teach it somewhere in our church. So these lessons are very flexible. They'll go anywhere you want to go. Yes.
So you teach up all the way up to 12th grade and stuff like that.
Yes.
So how deep does your lesson go when you're talking to people that age?
Okay. So let's take high school. All right, so let's look at the lesson we taught this morning. I do apologize for the technical issues, and I couldn't really dive deep into it. I just hit surface. But it goes as deep as you could possibly think, as far as you want to go. What we do when we teach these lessons, and to really get a grasp of it, you'd have to watch me teach a few times. But what we have is what we call talking points, because this is interactive. I'm talking, and then I want some interaction back. That's what I want from these kids in class. So I'm gonna in the classroom when I hear somebody say something, when I ask and they say something a certain way, and this one says something a certain way, and automatically my brain starts like, we're going this way. This is the way this class is going. And a lot of times somebody might say, well, you know, the only way that the Holy Spirit works is just behind the pulpit, but it's not true. We go in prayed up, and we're seeking God to do something great even in a classroom. We go every time. We say, Lord, open a door. Give us an avenue to be able to help, to be able to instruct, to give these kids something they can use, something to keep them tender, whatever it may be. So in doing that, we hear a talking point like this morning. It may be different from you than it is me, but I'm gonna find something on the screen there that really resonates with me that day. I may want to talk about, like right now, I've been studying temptation. So the whole idea of temptation. So I may deal with that longer. I may dive deep into that. Well, I mean, if it's not resonating with the kids, I'm going to move on. I'm going another direction. So as much, especially middle school, high school, as much study you can put in on these lessons, the deeper you can go. And then you're hunting those talking points. You're just trying to find a place to be able to talk to these kids. Something that's going to resonate. I was teaching, we got a lesson on Abraham Lincoln, the life of Abraham Lincoln. If you know anything about Abraham Lincoln, he was a massive failure. He failed at literally everything he ever did. He was a failure until he became president. 1860, he was elected the president of the United States of America. Everything before that, he ran for Congress, ran for Senate. He tried to get married. His fiancée died. I mean, a terrible, everything failed. I asked a kid one time in ninth grade, I said, what would you do if this was your life? If your life was filled with failures? The girl raised her hand. She said, that is my life. I said, well, what would you do? She said, I would kill myself. And that's what they deal with. That's the reality of it. We live in a generation where kids, and we're teaching in that lesson, we're teaching how to deal with death. And we're teaching perseverance. It's a character trait. How to persevere. In the face of greatest failure in life, don't you understand that your life it has purpose? And what would have happened? I ask them this question often. I say, what would have happened if Abraham Lincoln would have give up? If he would have committed suicide, if he would have been gone before 1860, what would America look like? Just thinking out loud. Do we know that America wouldn't be divided? Would it be the United States of America today if it wasn't for Abraham Lincoln? We don't know what the Civil War would have brought if it wasn't for him. He played a pivotal role, and he was one man that changed history. Some great accomplishments. The Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves. There's so much that happened because of his perseverance. The will to continue on in the face of great opposition. That's how deep we can go. We can just keep going and going and going and going. And it doesn't break the barrier, because in a classroom, federal law tells us that we have to be educational and objective. Okay, so that's staying educational. We're teaching historical lessons. We're teaching history. Education, objective, what we're dealing with today is the character traits of what's going. So we're very objective. And we can do that in the classroom. But then we have to be neutral. Neutral. That's the three things our federal government says we have to do if we're going to teach in a classroom. So in doing that in neutrality, we're not coming in and pushing religion down these kids' throat. We're not pushing religion on them. But we are giving them precepts and principles, and even some of our lessons, if the scripture's not listed, it will say a wise proverb says, or King David said, and you say, well, how do you get that in the classroom? Because it's historical. These people really lived. These are not just made-up characters in a book that's thousands of years old. These are real people. And
To the idea of being legal in all 50 states, like he was telling me.
sure. So, and that's how we do it. So I have a pamphlet on my table back there. It's Parents' Guide to Religion in Public School, and it deals with that. Our First Amendment gives us the freedom of speech everywhere we go in America, and it also does not stop inside of our school. Okay, so as long as we're neutral, we're not proselyting. That's what the law says, and we teach you that when we do training classes. So we say we're not proselyting. So when I come in and teach a class and we get down the rabbit hole and somebody in the class brings up religion, well, I'm not proselyting. It's just what we're talking about, and it is in the middle of the subject, and we're talking about Abraham Lincoln's faith. We're thinking about what brought him through. It allows us to be able to talk about those subjects legally in our public schools. Because the government says once it becomes student-led, then we have an obligation to be able to tell them the truth. 9 times out of 10, especially in a high school setting, if a religious question comes up or something about the Bible or something of that nature, I always look at the teacher and say, hey, is it okay if I answer this? It's going to come from the Bible. I mean, my answers are coming from the Bible. That's what they ask. That's what I'm answering. Most of the time, it's going to be a yes. I've had some teachers say, well, we've had some problems, maybe not right now. Maybe talk to them after class. But either way, we're still going to be able to answer that question at some point. So it allows us to be able to do that because we're neutral. We're not proselyting. We're not trying to give them the gospel and give them an invitation to accept Christ right there in the classroom. Although we have had that happen on many occasions. I'm not saying it don't happen. It happens. But that's not our goal. It's to be able to dive deep in these subjects, as deep as we want to go, to try to give them instruction and help and keep them tender toward the things of God. Yes?
Is there a way to observe, like, this in motion?
It is.
So y'all aren't very close, like, you're in Georgia, right?
Right.
So obviously we can go ahead and Georgia. But is there somewhere close that we could step in and witness this take place?
Yes. I'll have to see what's closest to you. Probably going to be Oakdale, Tennessee is probably going to be your closest, which is just north of Knoxville. So that's 2.5 hours, something like that. I don't know. How far is Knoxville? 6 hours. Oh yeah, because it's this way. Nashville's closer to y'all. We're on the western side of the state. So yeah, I'd have to look around, but that would be the only way to do that, unless we zoomed you in, is to be able to is to actually come to the school and see it done. Yeah. It's extremely difficult, and we help the school understand how not to do that. So I'm like, hey, we could actually come if we needed to break it up because of your time. We'll come 2 days a week. We'll go 2 days this week. We'll just do it once a month. We'll get all the kids. We'll just get them 2 days a week because it's very difficult to be able to help these kids on such, and they're going to feed off each other. Anybody that dealt with kids, especially in school, they're feeding off each other. It's organized chaos is what it is. So we we try to stay away from that. The most I would like to, the most I want to do, I don't want to go over that. It's about 65 kids in the high school, not in the lower grades. I only want about 30 kids max in my, 30, 40 maybe, but in my low grades. It is. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Oh yeah. 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 If I can get the school one thing, and we've been pretty good about it, if I can get the schools to understand one thing, it's better to leave those kids in the classroom and let us come to them. We change grades. If they don't change grades, or even if they do, we're going to go classroom to classroom. We'll come in their classroom, sit down. They're in their desk. They're in their element. They're not in another room. It's the best way to do it. It works. They're not distracted. Their teacher is sitting, their teacher. In assembly, there's going to be several teachers, maybe not even theirs. They have somebody watch over those kids, which is fine, but it don't work as well. If their teacher's sitting there, they're going to listen. They're going to pay attention. They're not going to act up either. So it makes it a whole lot easier to be able to do that. Yes?
This morning we taught on, emotions, and when it comes to thinking on emotion rather than logically, it skews the line between good, right and wrong, good and evil. And so that brings in morality. So I guess it's kind of more of a question for older kids, but when it comes maybe on that topic, how do you try to kind of get these kids to understand that morality is an objective thing and it's not subjective?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we teach a lesson on morals and ethics. It's another lesson we have that we tie in usually with that on morals and ethics. Where do we get our morals? What are morals and ethics? Where do they come from? Where did you get yours? Standard. Why do you think it's wrong to drink? Why do you think it's wrong to have premarital sex? Why is that wrong to you? How do you know that? And here's the question is somebody that's not religious, can they be moral? Does non-religious people think it's wrong to murder people? Do they think it's wrong to steal? I mean, those are the questions, so you can, we dive all through those subjects. Everything you can possibly imagine that comes to your mind during those classes, we will deal with. The kids want to talk about it. If it comes up, we're going to talk about it.
Does your wife and your daughter go with you to the schools and help you in classroom?
My daughter don't yet. She's 17, so we've got a age limit. We had to set that age limit, unfortunately. But she wants to. My wife does. Yeah, she teaches. She's my elementary school pre-K. I can't keep their attention. She does great. So I love. Personally, my favorite all time is middle school. I love middle school kids, absolutely, because they will talk and talk and talk, and they're getting where they really want to know things. Ninth grade, man, it's like pulling teeth to get them to say anything. And, I'm like, come on, guys, say something. But anyway, my wife does. She loves it. And those kids absolutely love her.
Because I was asking because we
Well, that would be up to the up to your church, you know.
I guess, like, with the school system, I guess is kind of what I was wondering.
That would be up to the school system.
Okay, so doesn't go above them
Right.
anything like that.
No, no. So I would say starting out while I'm training you, probably not going to be good to bring them. But after that, it's up to, you know, the school and y'all, how y'all do that.
Okay, one other thing, sorry. So it kind of makes me think, I don't know if this is a nationwide thing, but 4-H. Did y'all have 4-H?
We do, yeah. My daughter was in 4-H.
Okay, so 4-H, from what I can remember for us, was they came once or twice a month. They came to your classroom, they presented all their stuff, you did the crafts, you had things to do. It would be kind of something like how, I know you said you can come as much as you want, how often or whatever, but that's kind of what it makes me think of. Like, you come to them on a scheduled platform,
Yes,
time frame.
yes.
Okay.
With scheduled lessons, we're coming in and teaching these lessons on that time frame. Absolutely. So we're taking up the teacher's class time. We're coming in. Did y'all have Dare?
Yeah.
Okay, very similar to
Same
Dare.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay, but it's
just character.
yes. Okay.
So, and here's the cool thing about most schools is they generally have some type of character program. Do y'all have that up here? Some type of character program. But here's the thing about those character programs that the school has, which are good, and we'll coincide with that. So if they're running character of the month, we'll say, hey, what is it? We'll teach along that line. We'll help you out. That's what we want to do. We want to be there to help the school. And but the problem a lot of times with those school-based character programs is they have to do it. They're the ones teaching it. It's just more taxing on them, and they don't get a pay raise for it. It's something they load upon them. We're doing this. We have the curriculum, and we have the teachers. It don't cost the school a dime, and it takes less stress off of them. And we're trying to help you. Look, we've been in schools so long in some schools that they have shortages of teachers. They're like, hey, can you sub this class for a little while today until we get somebody in? Like, we got you. We got 2 lessons. We'll teach 2 or 3 of these lessons. We got you. No problem. But, you know, those are schools that have a lot of trust in us. And we've been there like 17 years, right? You know. So, I mean, we're there to help the school. We want to be a help to them, and we want to be a help to those kids. That's what we're doing. We're trying to be a help to this community, okay? So, just like you said, just like DARE does, that's a program that's out of the police department. Just like 4-H, that's a program that's out of the community, you know, agriculture department. That's what they're doing. They're going back and giving back to the community, and that's what we do as, you know, a religious organization as Rock of Ages. We want to go back and give to the community and build that relationship. So it's the same concepts. Yes.
Do you find more, I don't want to say success when you're going to like a juvenile school or something like that, do you find more kids receptive and then regretting the actions they've done rather than a prison? Or do you find more of that regret and shame in a prison?
Versus public school or versus?
Versus like a prison where you get to talk to like adults,
Yes.
like a juvenile school.
Well, obviously, to me, and just from what I do, kids are harder to deal with in a juvenile facility, but not in school. So school kids are a lot easier to deal with. In a juvenile facility, you're dealing with young kids that are very rebellious. I mean, they are extremely rebellious. And sometimes you get a lot of kickback. You're just not getting through because they're not on rock bottom yet.
Right.
I mean, they think they can accomplish anything. Whatever they want to do, they feel like they can do that. But once you get to adults, because we teach these lessons in adult prisons as well, and man, very receptive. You know, adult prisons those people know where they're at. They're on the bottom. They're looking for anybody. And I'm not saying juveniles not, because we have a lot of juveniles that do, but you're going to get more resistance in a juvenile than you will in regular prison, and you're going to get more resistance in juvenile than you will in school. School, you get really good feedback in school. A lot of those kids, you may have 1 or 2 kids in a whole school year that doesn't like what you're doing. And whether they like it or not, we still let them know that we care about them. And we've have we over in Whitwell, we had kids come in and I can't believe y'all are here again. I mean, they just sigh. They hate it because we deal with things in their life, and they don't want nobody to deal with that stuff, So it happens, but most of the time, juvenile can be difficult because of their rebellious attitude. I mean, they're very, very rebellious. They're going through a lot. Yes, sir.
Best grade to start off with from scratch.
I prefer elementary school. I do, but it really depends on your church and the expertise that they have, and if you got men or ladies. Ladies generally are not going to high school. They're just scared to. I'm just going to tell you, they are. Ask my wife. She's like, I ain't going to ninth grade. Because those kids, they can get, look, here's the crazy thing. I'll tell you right now, ninth graders, they know everything. And they really do know a lot. So if you say something up here that's not historically right, they're going to call you on the carpet. I'm going to tell you, they're going to call you out. And they look at stuff. They have so much information on their cell phones now. So it'll be a battle. They will argue with you if you make a mistake. So a lot of time, my wife tells you, I don't want to go. I think I got her to teach one time ninth grade or eighth grade, eighth. But so it depends on the church. But I prefer elementary school. I like to start young and work our way up. Because if you're, as a church, if you start in elementary school, especially third grade, I think third grade is a perfect grade. Fifth grade in most elementary schools, they're trying to transition those kids into middle school. They have a lot of testing and stuff. They don't have time for you to be in there, okay? So third grade seems to be the best to start out. I would start out in third and work my way down. I would go all the way down, and then I'd work my way up, all the way through middle school, then into ninth grade. Ninth grade is our number one grade. If you look at across the board, where are we at in the schools? In most schools, it's going to be ninth grade. It's the hardest, most difficult transition year for young people in their life. And they go from eighth grade to ninth grade. It's very difficult. They have a lot of hormones going on. They have a lot of, emotional things. It's just a difficult time. But, it takes special people to, I say special people. It just takes people that want to be there and do that, okay? So it's not a bad place to go. And if you like those older kids and those deeper discussions, that's where it's at. It takes more study. Let me put it this way. It takes more study. If you're going into middle school and high school, it takes more study on your part. You're not going to, in elementary school, I can literally not look at a lesson and walk in and still teach it. You can do that. Everybody in here can teach these elementary school lessons and not even have to look at them before you teach them. That's how easy they are. They're self-teachable. They're so easy. But when you get middle school, high school lessons, you're going to have to study them. You're going to have to say, all right, I'm going to put, a couple hours of study this week in my lesson before I go teach it so I know what I'm talking about. So it's important. You want to know the history of Abraham Lincoln, Corrie ten Boom, and even Colonel Sanders. We got a lesson we teach on Colonel Sanders. But you want to know the history of these people. You know what happened in their lives. So you'll have those talking points to be able to talk about. So, yes.
Do you typically try to get in before semester starts, or can you get in midstream? Or how does that work? And then also, if you start, let's say, in third grade at the beginning of the school year, I guess you've got curriculum to go twice a month throughout the rest of that year.
That's correct. So, start any time during the year. Doesn't matter. Whatever the school wants you to do is fine. No problem. As far as curriculum, having enough curriculum, you're going every 2 weeks, and then you got holiday months. We generally don't start in August, and we don't go in May. The reason is the school's just starting. They got so much going on. Okay, so I always give them the 1st of September, and my last day of school is last week of April, because they got testing going on in May, and most schools let out. Here lately, it seems like they're letting out later and later, but that's beside the point. But you think about all of that. So between September and April, you've got Thanksgiving, you got fall break, you got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, and you got spring break, you got testing time. So all of that, some of those months you're only going one time. That's all they got time available. So you're going 9 to 12 times a year. is all you're going. So that's 9 to 12 lessons. You do that 3 times, boom, 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 and then you get a whole new group of kids. So you're teaching them all new lessons, all right? So the kids will never get taught the same lesson. That's key. And, of course, if you do that, I mean, I'll teach you all of that, but I know it sounds complicated, but it's really not. If I can do it, I promise anybody can. Do you have something? Well, it just depends. So, like I do, because I'll teach the entire school. I mean, I take all the grades. I'm not just going to do one grade. So we're going to come in and we're going to have the entire school. Like our schools, before I turned them over there in Madison, I mean, we had pre-K all the way through 5th grade. We taught every single. We had 1,150 kids in that school. I taught every single one of those kids. No, I went to their classes. That took a team of 6 people to accomplish that, okay? I can't do that by myself. You don't have that much time. So that took a team of 6 people. I don't know. Y'all probably don't have schools that big around here. I would assume you said they only have one high school.
Yeah, Callaway High and then Murray High.
And how many kids?
I don't know, man.
High school, 1,000.
You know, ever?
Okay, so those are 600 elementary. Okay, so if you was to cover a 600 grade elementary, you need 3 people to cover the entire school. You can hit every single class in a 600 kid elementary school with 3 people. Okay, you could do that once a month. You could do that twice a month, depending on the school, but and your schedules. Or you can stick with 1 grade.
And
It all depends on what you want to do.
it's not just one person doing the whole thing. You've got help.
Right. You've got help. You can rotate. So say you've got somebody in here that says, I can give you, 1 day a month, but I can't give you 2. And another person's like, well, I can give you 1 day. Well, now you're going twice a month. You just rotate. You go, the 10th, and you go the 18th. You just separate. You just rotate on rotation there. You can do that with more than 1 people. And you say, well, I can only go every once in a while. That's fine too. Obviously, the more consistent you are with the kids, the more of an impact you're going to make. I see these kids in the community. My wife will tell you, they'll run up to you in Walmart and wrap their arms around you. Hey, tater guy. I mean, you see them out and about. I mean, they know who you are. You are the tater guy. And that's elementary all the way through high school. I mean, in high school, hey, man, it's the tater guy. That's what they do. It's like seeing your teacher, outside of school. It's like, oh, man, I can't believe I seen my teacher outside of school, So you're making that connection, that impact.
Does the school board have to okay for you to go into the school?
Yes. So I say the school board doesn't necessarily have to do that. So the principal can sign off on it. Vice principal is going to sign off on it. Generally, the way that we like to do it is to start at the bottom. When we try to get into a school, we're going to find our easiest route. And our easiest route is obviously somebody that we know in a church that is a school teacher. Okay? And we say, hey, would you pass this information to your principal and see if they would allow us to come in your class? We'd like to introduce this character education program into the school. And that's the best way to do it. And the reason is because if it becomes top down, if we go straight to the superintendent and the superintendent says, all right, principals, you have to initiate and institute this, it usually becomes, disgruntled employees. Like, it's top down pressure. So if we come up from the bottom, it seems a whole lot smoother. So no, the school board don't necessarily have to write off on it or even know about it. It usually gets up there sooner or later. I will tell you this. Schools, there are jealousy among schools. So once you get in a school, and then the word spreads, and they're like, oh, we want that in our school. We want that in our school. And we find, look, in Alabama, if I had an army of churches to be able to help me in Alabama, it would have been the biggest hub for this ministry. We had literally 50 schools that wanted us to come in. 50. And I told one of the brothers down there, out of Pastor Mike Allison's church. He was the one that headed all of these up. And I said, look, I I can't do it. I mean, we just can't. I can't get enough people. He's like, man, he said, they're literally calling me every day. What he did, he went in, and the Lord just blessed. He went in, he sent out emails to all the schools. Like, you might not want to do that. You're going to get more response than what you think you will. And they started emailing back. Let's have a meeting, let's have a meeting, let's have a meeting. And in Alabama, they're whatchamacallums? Help me out, Mama. The guidance counselor. There we go. See, the guidance counselors in Alabama, they'll cover like 3 schools. So they're the guidance counselor for 3 different schools. Well, around our house, each school has a guidance counselor. Down in Alabama, the guidance counselor. So she would introduce it to this school, and this school. So it was spread. Everyone we go to, we'd get like 3 or 4 schools, and they were like, come on, we want it. And I had to leave one of the schools in Alabama, actually, because I just couldn't stay in there. I couldn't get a church to take it over. Great opportunity. My wife will tell you, man, kids loved it, teachers loved it, but we just had to shut the doors on it because I just don't have the time. I only have so much time. I can only be in so many places. That's why it's very crucial that we have the help of the local church, okay? Very important. Any more questions on that? I want to kind of switch gears maybe just a little bit. Access to the school. We can get in. We can. May not be the school that you think, but we can get in. All right, so let's think about this. What can we do in the school? I think this is always a help to the church to be able to know what we can do outside of just teaching. So we're building relationships. We're building relationships with the staff. We're building relationship with the kids. And eventually we're going to build a relationship with their parents. Some of the things we do in the schools. One of our churches that we partner with, now that we're in the school, he does the before school prayer. The beginning of the school year, they have this big thing. They bring down all the preachers and they pray at the school. He's the one that heads all of that up. Anytime there's a suicide, he's called. He deals with the family. He deals with the students. So that gives the avenue for the church to be able to minister in that school through this program. Another thing we do is what we call, I think I mentioned it earlier, it's called Godly Gifts at Christmas. Godly Gifts at Christmas allows us to be able to take the church and take the school and make a great connection. So Godly Gifts at Christmas is an outreach that we take and give every student that wants. These are all voluntary basis because you can't force a kid to take anything religious. All voluntary basis, and we teach you how to do this. So we give them Bibles, books, coloring books if it's elementary school, reading material, everything you can think about, and we box it. We have an assembly line of people that come in. They wrap all these gifts, and they present them to their families at Christmas. We do this through the local church. So all of these kids understand that Emmanuel Baptist Church has provided all of this stuff for your family. We do that about every 2 years. One year we took and got all of the kids' names, their last names, and we had pew Bibles. Rock of Ages had a bunch of pew Bibles made. They were hardback. And we took and had their family name engraved on all of those Bibles. So we was able to present the family with a family Bible, King James Rock of Ages Study Bible, hardcover, to every single kid in that entire school for their family. So those are outreaches that we do. Another thing we do, there's so much you can do. So we have the kids do this every year at certain schools. We have them go in, and we have the kids get gifts for the teachers. A lot of times these kids will get religious gifts and stuff with scripture and all of this, and we're able to give it to the teachers. Another thing we do is the local church partners with the school in backpacks, supplies. We usually go in and talk to the nurses once or twice a month. Whoever's the coordinator over the public school outreach, you go in and talk to the nurse. Say, hey, do you need some small waters? Do you need Band-Aids? Do you need medication? whatever it may be. And you say, well, those are small things. Well, they are. They're really small things that make a big impact. Because every time that school turns around, they know the name Emmanuel Baptist Church. Emmanuel Baptist Church. Emmanuel Baptist Church. So you become a staple in that community. We also have something else we do. It's called Adopt a Teacher program. So in this church, what we'll do is we'll send somebody down in the program and say, hey, can you get these? We got papers. You fill out a little form, pass it out to all of the teachers, and it's like, what do you need for your class? And then on the bottom you have your biggest wish. Doesn't matter what it is. Write it on there. Write it on there. And this is from Emmanuel Baptist Church. They bring these back to the church, and everybody in the church will adopt a teacher. Say, I want to get this stuff for this teacher. And then you fulfill that order, and you take it down there, and you present it to the teacher. You say, well, does that really matter? It makes a big difference. It makes a huge impact in this school. All of that does is give us more opportunities to be able to give the gospel to these people. That's going to bring every one of those people, Lord willing, every one of those people into our churches. That's what we want to do. That's how we're going to fill the church. We go out into the community and we compel them to come in. We hadn't even talked about the Yes Club yet. That's just the school side of it. That's the teaching aspect of it. And all of what we can do, and there's a lot more than that, but that's just some of the things that we do in there. Any more questions on that? Everybody ready to sign up? Go ahead.
The pamphlets and stuff you have on that table, are those to take? Do we purchase them?
Yes, those are for you to take. The Character and Construction is a pamphlet. That's the same one we give in church, the same one we give to the secretaries or even a principal. I also have another book that I mainly give to principals as well. So if you have somebody you want to give them to in a school, I've got some of that for you as well. So, yeah, everything on the table is free except for the coloring books and the plushies and the little 9-page coloring books. Oh, let me tell you about the 9-page coloring books real quick. 9-page coloring books are a coloring book that we have that matches all of our lessons for our CHIP series. Okay, so we teach a lesson, we're gone every 2 weeks, so that's 9 days that we're gone. We'll be back 9 days. So every day those kids, they color a page in that coloring book, and it reminds them of the lesson that we just taught. That's why we have 9-page coloring books. We give those to the kids in the classroom. So it has a little bit of the lesson, so it reminds them. So we get back, we teach another one, we leave another coloring book. They absolutely, my wife will testify, they love those coloring books. So that's what we do with those little coloring books there, which are in the process of being updated. I think that's all I can think about. Yes?
You had a story, and it was about Samson and Delilah, and you have more of those stories from the Bible that you just kind of use other people's names and to kind of tell a story.
Oh, yeah, in our lessons? Oh, yeah, a bunch of them.
Those lessons, do you reveal that they're from the Bible, or
No.
is that kind of a legal thing you can't?
That's right. It's kind of a legal thing. If there's any kids in the school that go to church, they usually figure it out. And they're like, I know that. And I'm like, well, what is it? Where have you heard it? Because it becomes student-led at that point. Where have you heard about that story? Well, that's a story of, Samson and Delilah. That's the story of, we got one, it's, the two brothers. Jacob and Esau, one on Jacob and Esau. They're like, that's Jacob and Esau. So then we'll talk. I'll let them talk about it all they want to. Talk all you want. It don't bother me a bit. I was sitting in a class. I taught that lesson one time in Oakdale. I was in 8th grade class. And, man, one of the kids figured it out. And I'm telling you, the Lord was just in it. I mean, I just, what's that lesson about, What do you know about it? Or something like that. Anyway, this kid ended up, taking them all the way back to creation, to the cross. Just laid out the gospel right there, with 29 kids in the classroom. I'm like, you go right ahead. No problem at all. But, of course, it helps, your teacher's also, a Christian too, so. 8th grade, that is 12. Yeah, 12, 13 years old. But there's some good churches in Oakdale, Tennessee. Really, and a lot of those kids are in some really good churches, so that helps. But even, I don't know if I showed it this morning. Like when our slide comes up, it has Rock of Age. It has the big cross. And I've had third graders like talk for 10 minutes on that cross. That has something to do with the resurrection. We learned about the cross at Easter. I'll just let them talk to each other and they can get it all figured out. Then I'll be setting up my stuff a little slower that day maybe. Well, y'all go ahead and talk about it. But there's opportunities. Then our Yes Club. Our Yes Club is Youth Empowerment Services. That has to be student-led. We help the kids initiate this club. We don't have as many as an elementary school as I would like because they don't have club times. So if we're going to do it in elementary school, a lot of times we have to do an after-school program. I don't know if schools are running after-school programs around here. If they are, it's a great place to get a Yes Club in. Sometimes, I know we did this quite a bit in West Virginia. They bused the kids. The school paid to bus the kids to the church. And it was an after-school program. They were able to do the Yes Club after school at the church, and then they would bus them back. The church would feed them pizza and, whatever, and they would preach to them and just take them back to the school. And so it's available to do anyway. But our Yes Club has to be student-led, student-initiated and student-led, and we have elections. Okay, so we elect a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, all the above. They lead the club, and we're invited in to preach. So that's how that works. So let's say it's a high school. We come in and preach. So before we preach, the kids will get up and they'll say, "Hey, anybody got any prayer requests?" And the secretary's writing down all the prayer requests, and then the treasurer's going to lead in prayer. So they do all of that because it has to be student-led. We'll help them sing a song. We'll sing 2 or 3 songs. We run it a lot like a bus church. If you've ever been involved in bus ministry, we sing a song, give them candy, have a lot of fun, play some games, and then we preach. Generally only preach about 10 minutes because your time slots are a lot smaller in that setting. Preach to them about 10 minutes and give a informal invitation. That's what we have to give, informal invitation. If you feel like God's done with your heart, you want to be saved, come to me. They'll usually pass you on the way out. That's how it usually works in public school. Just see as what it is. Some people don't like it. They're like, "Oh, well, I'd like to deal with it." Well, unfortunately, it don't work like that. Sometimes if you bring them to the church, you definitely can, but in that setting, you can't. So that's a little bit about Yes Club. Any questions about that? So we got teaching and preaching. We cover every base. That's what we try to do. And it has to be separate, federal law says. Can't be proselyting in the teaching section. So that's what we do. That's why we keep them separate. Am I missing anything, Lynn? My wife knows. Probably more than I do. She's my memory. That's right. I think she's got the sign-up sheet back there. Anybody wants to go? No. Honestly, though, before we close, I do want to just say this. It's hard sometimes to even fathom what God is able to do in the public school unless you see it. God is doing great things in our public school ministry. I'm talking about all around the United States. We've got 19 states in America that we're in schools. And that's from Maine to New Mexico. So they're scattered out. Everybody's like, "Oh, the further you go north, the harder it is." Well, I tell you why it's harder, because we have less volunteers to do it. I don't think it's any harder to get into a facility and help young people. I think all across the board, everybody wants to help our young people. We just have less volunteers. There's less churches up there. Yeah. That's why we have less there. We're in more schools in areas where there's more churches. That's why. Because there's just more people to help. That's what we need. There's 4 of us missionaries in the United States today. 4 of us. So we got 80 plus million kids in public school, and there's only 4 of us. We can't do it without the local church. We have to have the church to be able to institute this. And you've got a big area right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 schools in this area right here local. Go ahead. Sure.
Of course, covering here in Murray, Kentucky. We are from Harrison, which is like what, 35, 40 years away. And we have a high school right there. And then Lakewood. Yeah, Harrison. We probably got, like, say a huge high school that's not too close. Now, with us being, and I guess this would be a question for the church or the school district, I guess, with us being a Kentucky church, would we be able to take it to Tennessee?
That would be up to the church.
You know, like,
Yeah. It's, yeah. I mean, generally, we always tell the church, local, what you can get here, but if you've got, but if you've got the help there, then that's fine. Nobody else is there. But if you're only 35 minutes to here, I drive 2 hours to at least every one of my schools. Right. Yeah. 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 Like I said, we always recommend local schools for the local church, because the idea is eventually we want to be in a local church and a local school there as well. In other words, is give me a contact for a good independent Baptist church down there. I can tell them about it, and you can go help them. Does that make sense? That way they can funnel those kids and those people into their church and their community. It's community. Doesn't mean you can't help them. We've got people that help in various different locations, and they go and partner with. But that school coordinator we'd like to have out of a local church and a local schools tied together. It just really seems to work better that way.
I just didn't know how,
Yeah.
we work, the balance, and that'd be awesome, because with me being a member here, I'm definitely gonna help.
Sure.
Kentucky, I was just wondering,
Absolutely.
how you branch out, so.
Absolutely.
About half the congregation here today actually lives in Paris, Tennessee, so, we're split up a little bit
Yeah.
geographically.
Yes. You can do it all. That's right. Absolutely. We have no other questions. Also, we do have T-shirts back there. I didn't pull any of them out. We have T-shirts. My wife will pull some of them out so you can see them. They're pretty cool.
Everybody get their questions answered that they want so far? I know we probably want to revisit this, don't we? I'm of the opinion, Brother Lamar, that just speaking from an emotional standpoint, like you taught on this morning, I'm emotionally moved. Know that we are probably going to try to implement this here. I would like to see us do this. If at least in one grade in one school somewhere, just to get started. And we got enough volunteers, I think, that we can make it work. And if you'd be willing to help train us. The other thing is too, I do have some friends that minister in other churches, and we can get you in there to present this ministry, and then you can train maybe more than one church at one time. Do you do
Yes,
that?
sir, we do that
Okay.
almost always.
Okay.
So we try to get as many people as possible at one time.
Yeah,
So,
which will maximize your time in training.
that's right.
So,
And
I
it
mean,
makes the classes a whole
I was
lot
kind of
funner.
thinking selfishly about Callaway County and Murray. We don't want to hoard all of these kids just for our church, but we can't reach them all. So if we have other churches that partner with us locally, I think we can make a bigger impact.
Yeah. You just want like-minded.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be praying about this. But the thing is, these kind of things, this falls under the Great Commission as far as I'm concerned. You don't have to pray about doing the right thing when it comes to reaching the community. Right. It's not a matter of, well, should we pray? Let's pray about reaching the lost. No, we don't have to do that. So it's a matter of us figuring out, do we have volunteers? Who are they? Let's schedule this and get the ball rolling. So, but we will all talk and kind of put our heads together. We may have another meeting or two and then get back with you. But we appreciate you coming today. When he sent me an email, and it was a couple of months ago, I think maybe this was sent out. I just happened to find it. in the church email directory and